So here is the setup that we need to do for Salesforce to Athena. Um, and I mean the first and foremost thing, so we need to create the bucket, and the bucket potentially wherever we want to place the files, we can place the files. And then I mean we need this folder where we want to capture the results, and also this is for Athena's sake, we need that folder. I mean that's pretty much on the S3 side. So then on the connector side, the Athena side, so basically the first thing, we need to go to Athena and then go to query editor, and that will bring us back here. And here we need to the first thing, before we do anything, so we have to come here and we need to set this S3 bucket path, and for so that we can execute it in here. And then there is another setting that we need to do on the work group. So the primary one, we need to also say what is the path here. So that's this guy. Once we go inside, so the path, basically location of query result, so that's the bare minimum setup. And then we need to create that uh, database and that stuff. So that's we need to run a few queries, basically that is creating the database. And then we need to execute a few queries that will set up the entire thing. So here if you see, this is the table creation. So here I'm querying the data. So now I mean here I made some changes to the thing. And yeah, so this is kind of we need to create this table, and that basically gives us the access to the table and all. Now if we query any of this data, so let's say here, and it will give us the results. So now I think if you see, yeah, so this is going to get all the data. And so that's pretty much on the AWS side. Now back in Salesforce, if we want to do it with external object, um, we need to first go to external data sources, create the data source. Yeah, first, before anything, basically we need to do the name credential setup, and these are the credentials from AWS again. So we need to create one named credential and one external credential. So this is the AWS Athena PS. So that is the endpoint Athena dot whatever the region. And then pretty much that's it on the name credential, and the authentication will come through the external credential. And so this is the account ID, again region. So what is the service, and the signatures, basically sigv4, that's the one we are going to use. And then the main thing is on the principal. So here when we see the principal, so we need to give that access token and secret. I mean I didn't have to use any roles, and obviously the credential need to be added to a permission set, and permission set need to be added to the user who is running this thing. And that's pretty much on the backend setup. And now if we go to external credential, sorry, the data sources, external data sources. So here we will create uh, yeah, so we will create a data source, and then this one by default it will come the same thing from AWS data catalog. And then once we, I mean this is where we need to give that name credential, whatever we just created, I mean we walk through. So this is the SQL adapter. And here the provider is Athena, so that's what we need to set. And then when we say okay, hey, validate and sync, so that one potentially will create, I mean we should be able to select the data. This is the SF test DB that we created here, basically that is the SF test DB. And that's great. Now going back here, once we say okay, what is the name field, and when we say sync, basically that will sync. the data, and now all the data and everything is available in Salesforce. So here we saw 5 fields or 5 records. Now if we go back to Salesforce also, I mean, that should be able to, we should be able to see the same data here. So if we say here 2 lakhs, so that one should be able to get us that data. And I mean, we can even basically we can even filter the records and all that stuff. So now back again, so and few things that we also need to do on the external data source or external object. So here for the search and those things to work properly, so that's the object that we create, external object that was created. And so manage qualifiers, basically this is where we need to say what are the fields and other stuff. Okay, let's see here, external data source. Yeah, the screen is not working. Yeah, so I mean, I had to go change, add few records there. That's all I had to do there. External object, actually, let's go here. This one will work here. External objects and manage qualifiers. This one, basically, this is where I had to add the case ID, and especially if we want to use this guy on the related object. So this is the key. Basically, we need to say what is the external ID on the AWS side. So this is the case external ID. So that's the one we have to say, okay, hey, this is how we want to link case external ID. And so we need to create a field on the case object, and we link them basically. If we go back to case object, so this is the external ID. And so if we create, because of this guy, so I mean, we create this external ID, and this got to be unique ID, and that's how those relationships are established. So back in external ID, I mean, this case object field and this external ID field. So basically this is the indirect lookup to case for this field, and this is the external ID field on the AWS side. That's how we are saying. And because of that, and when we create a related list here, um, and especially whenever those record details are matched, I mean, the values are matched, and those one will show up here. And the setup for that one is here. When we go to this Athena results, so here when we pull up that single related list, so this is the related list single, and that is the sample sales one. And we have to say, because of that relationship was already established, and without any additional coding, this one will work seamlessly. And this is LWC one, and it is basically using the same queries, and by taking that where class. So that's very simple one. And finally the last one is the apex class one, that is configured here, um, the pure callouts basically. So this last one is pure callout, no external object, nothing. And so that is because of this service. Basically there are two things that we need to be using. One, Athena has the execute query, and I mean we need to set up the query and get the results. Basically two things that we will be doing for this one. uh, that's pretty much about this guy. So yeah, uh, start query and get query results. So basically, so two two calls we need to do, and we will get the results and we can show it to the user. So that's pretty much about this one. Thanks.